Hi, my name is Christopher Kaida, and I want to tell you about a citizen science project that's called Nachtlichter, which means nighttime lights in German. In this project, our citizen scientists went out onto the streets and counted and classified all the different lights they could see. And I want to tell you about the results because we've just recently published a paper that's titled Citizen Science Illuminates the Nature of City Lights. And so I want to give you a brief introduction to what we did and why we did it. So let's start off with why we were interested in counting lights. This is an image of the Earth at night from space. And we know from such imagery that cities are becoming brighter over time. But we don't really understand why because these pictures don't tell us what the actual lights are that are shining into space. And we can get higher resolution imagery, for example, from aircraft. And this gives you the impression that, well, it's all street lights. But when you look at this aerial imagery from the side, you can see that actually there's a lot of other really bright lights, for example, advertisements and lighting on the sides of buildings. And when we zoom in on this imagery, you can see that, okay, we see that lights are there, for example, in this square, but we don't know, are those shop windows? Are they signs? Are they area lighting? We can't really tell from the air. So what we needed to do was to send people out to actually go and look at these lights and tell us what they were. So in order to do that, we worked with a group of citizen scientists to develop an app. So the whole project was co-designed, and we eventually developed this app called Nachtlichter, or Nighttime Lights. This is what it looks like when you start the app. You see sort of a map with all the different places we wanted people to look at. And then you zoom in and you choose a transect to walk along and count lights on. And this is normally from one street corner to the next. So you're standing there, you've selected your transect, and now you look at a light and you want to tell us about what kind of light it is. So together with the citizen scientists, we developed 18 different categories of lights. You choose one of them, and then we ask you for a little bit more information. For example, what direction does it shine in? Or what color is it? And in the case of signs, how big was it? So our participants did a huge amount of work. They walked many hundred kilometers and they covered a total area of 22 square kilometers. This was done in 33 different communities, mainly inside of Germany, but also outside of it. And you can see that these are areas that are designed to match the satellite pixels from the satellite image that I showed at the start so that we can compare the two. So you can see how pleased and excited our team from Dresden was when they had finally finished counting and classifying the last light, because it's a monumental amount of work to cover such a huge area. So I want to show you one of the results now. What you're seeing here in the background is a map of Germany where the darker areas are the brighter parts of Germany. And these circles show the regions where our participants have counted lights, and the numbers beside the circles show how many different satellite pixels they covered in total in those regions. So you can see that we've got big cities and we've got small cities and everything in between. What we did then is we compared the number of lights per square kilometer that our participants counted with the brightness from the satellite in that region. And then by looking at the light that the whole of Germany emits, we were able to get an estimate for how many lights are on in all of Germany late at night. What we found is that after midnight, for every person in Germany, there's about one light that is still shining, even though nearly all the Germans are still asleep. And it's definitely not only street lights. So if you want to learn more about what it is we found, you can look at the paper itself. It is open access, so you can download it and read it. But you know, scientific papers aren't really for everybody. So what we also did is we developed a question and answer document that's sort of targeted for someone with a high school degree that explains everything that we did in the project and what we found. So you can look that up and take a look. In addition to publishing in scientific papers, we've presented at a lot of scientific conferences. And one of the things I want to emphasize that we're really proud about is that many of our citizen scientists have actually done these presentations at scientific conferences themselves. So here you see Jakob, who was only 12 years old when he joined Nachtlichter, presenting at the European Citizen Science Association annual meeting. What are we doing now? Well, the analysis I've told you about was for data taken in 2021. We also took data in 2023, where we were looking at how lights change over time. So this is a street in Potsdam in Germany in the early evening, and this is later in the evening. And what you see is all the people have disappeared, but there's still a lot of lights on. And at first it looks the same, but if you look carefully, for example, here at the shop window and up here at this private window, what you see is that they actually turn off late at night. And so this is exactly what we wanted to investigate is what kinds of lights turn off and what fraction of them turn off and what time do they turn off. And so we'll hopefully get results about that to you relatively soon. So with that, I really want to end by thanking the funders that made this work possible. There were a number of funders, but in particular, thanks to the Helmholtz Association and the German Ministry of Education and Research. And with that, I want to thank you on behalf of our entire team, not just the citizen scientists pictured here, but really everybody who took part for your interest in our project.